Fresh look, it's your boy Rook. First off and foremost, man, I want to say my condolences to everybody that lost a loved one in this video. Rest in peace to all the loved ones in this video too, man. It was 16 lives lost and 24 injured, man. Just a crazy situation. A terrorist attack in San Bernardino, California in 2015 on December the 2nd. We will all remember this day. We will never forget this day. I remember where I was at like it was yesterday. It's just a crazy, crazy situation, man. Much respect to Obama for coming to my city and showing us real love, not fake love. Shout out to everybody that showed my city love from different states and different regions, different countries. I just want to say we're going to make it through this, man. San Bernardino, we're going to make it to the top, man. I hate to bring this up, but we need light on our city. We need help still to this day in 2024. So here I bring you this story, man. Here's my reaction. Give me your reaction. And I'm out.
It now believes the massacre in San Bernardino was an act of foreign-inspired terrorism. Shortly before, Saeed Farouk and his wife, Tashfeen Malik, opened fire. Malik took to her Facebook page to pledge her allegiance to ISIS in Syria. A federal law enforcement source tells CBS News this is a photo of Malik, the photo that they are working with. It is the first picture that we have seen of her. The attack left 14 people dead. They were among about 80 San Bernardino County Health Department workers who were holding a holiday celebration. Homeland Security correspondent Jeff Pegues begins our coverage.
Sources tell CBS News Malik's Facebook post pledged her allegiance to ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. The post was in English and issued under a different name. FBI Director James Comey.
The investigation so far has developed indications of radicalization by the killers and of a potential inspiration by foreign terrorist organizations.
Investigators have recovered computers, thumb drives, and other electronic media from the home where Malik and her husband Syed Farouk live with their 6-month-old daughter. Perhaps the most important find, 2 cell phones discovered in a garbage dumpster. FBI Assistant Director David Bowditch says both phones were damaged deliberately.
Those cell phones were actually crushed. We have retained those cell phones, and we do continue to exploit the data from those cell phones.
So far, investigators have no evidence that the shooting was directed by ISIS leaders, nor do they currently believe Farouk and Malik were part of a larger terror network, although Farouk did communicate with at least one person in the U.S. and on an FBI watch list.
There were no contacts between either of the killers and subjects of our investigations that were of such a significance that it raised these killers up onto our radar screen.
Farouk was a U.S. citizen and Malik was Pakistani living in Saudi Arabia when they met online and married in 2014. Rand Townsend is a former Homeland Security advisor to President George W. Bush. Is there a possibility here that she radicalized her husband?
Absolutely. You'll be looking for, did she have more of the connections? Did she show more of an interest in Islamic extremism, or did he?
Today, an ISIS
has disturbing new details about the San Bernardino terror attack last December that left 14 people dead and 24 wounded. The report is from the Justice Department and the Police Foundation. Here's Danielle Nottingham.
Syed Farouk and his wife Tashfeen Malik fired 100 rounds. 3 victims rushed them but couldn't stop them. Investigators said if someone moved or made a sound, the shooters fired 1 or multiple shots into their body. A woman who was shot in the head asked a wounded coworker to call her mother to say goodbye. The coworker tried to comfort her and asked if she was okay. The victim said, "I'm not. I'm bleeding from the mouth." And then she closed her eyes for good.
Currently, the subject is still inside the business in building number 3, possible active shooter.
6 minutes after the first 911 call, the officers charged inside. Soon, swarms of police arrived, but were overwhelmed. It was complete and total chaos when I got there, the San Bernardino chief said. The shooters escaped, but officers searched the building, having to ignore the dead and wounded. One sergeant said, "Some people were quiet, hiding. Others were screaming or dying, grabbing at your legs because they wanted us to get them out. That was the hardest part, stepping over them.
You can see that vehicle right now.
Meanwhile, a police analyst discovered that a black SUV, similar to the one seen leaving the scene, was registered in Farouk's name. Police spotted the car near his home. Farouk opened fire. He was hit 26 times, his wife 15 times. The couple died 6 hours after the shooting. Police found a black bag holding 3 pipe bombs in the conference room.
Minutes of terror. The assault weapons found in that black SUV riddled with bullets, 6,100 rounds of ammunition, and the remote control bomb that was never detonated, left behind at that holiday party. Did they intend to set that off as rescuers arrived? ABC's Cecilia Vega tonight, now with the survivor, revealing the moment the killer stood over her, shooting as she wondered, would she survive?
It was over nearly as quickly as it started. 4 minutes of sheer terror.
He was screaming and pop sound like, multiple gunshots.
Salahin Kandakar's wife Anisa was in that conference room, packed for a meeting and a holiday party.
And if she, let's say 30 seconds prior, all the people she was sitting with, they are killed all day.
Her colleague Saeed Farouk sitting right there too, until he mysteriously left.
Today, this is still a crime scene. This is as close as we can get to that room in there, but this is what we know. When those shooters came back here, they were wearing tactical gear, they had extra ammo with them, and they were ready to kill.
And that's what they did. Saeed and his wife bursting in through a patio door, unloading at least 65 rounds.
We have several down in the conference room, several down.
Anisa Kandakar hid in a bathroom.
She went inside, hey, there's shooting going on outside, so nobody came out from the bathroom. She warned them, they closed the door.
Amanda Gaspard fell to the ground, hid under a table, closed her eyes, and didn't move. The shooters fired right at her. Her family saying tonight, the attackers could have easily shot her in the head, but we are so grateful to God they shot her in the leg and arm instead.
And they are still treating patients here in this hospital behind me in all.
Just 48 hours after a mass shooting that killed 14 people, investigators now saying it's a terrorism investigation.
Based on the information and the facts as we know them, we are now investigating these horrific acts as an act of terrorism. We have uncovered evidence that has led us to learn of extensive planning. Obviously, we've uncovered evidence of explosive.
And the first picture of Tashfeen Malik, the 27-year-old investigators say was the second shooter. The FBI saying a number of pieces of evidence have informed their decision on terrorism, but offered few further details of what that evidence is. But the investigation is now likely to increase its scope and urgency. Despite rampant speculation in the U.S. news media, there was no evidence released by the FBI that ISIL directed the attacks carried out by Malik and her husband Saeed Rizwan Farouk. It's a complex case, and neither of the two suspects appeared to be on any FBI watch list, and neither had criminal records in America. The FBI urged patience, saying it might take a long time to get to the real motive.
There's a lot of
Popo. Oh, damn. Holy guys, shots right now. Oh, oh my gosh. Guys, they just shot up my house right now. There's cops all over the yard. Holy guys, I just got shot up my yard. No way. My house is getting shot at right now. Holy
where the man accused of conspiring with one of the San Bernardino terrorists faced a judge.
Enrique Marquez pleaded guilty to providing the guns used in that massacre. As CBS 2's Dave Lopez tells us, the father of one of the victims made a surprise statement.
25-year-old Enrique Marquez pleaded guilty today in Riverside Federal Court to providing guns to a terrorist, Saeed Farouk, and his wife, Tashfeen Malik, lying about how he purchased those weapons. And he faces a possibility of 25 years in federal prison.
Criminals have more rights than we do. You know, you go into the system and they have more rights than we do.
Gregory Claiborne's daughter, Sierra, was one of 14 people killed that day by Farouk and his wife in San Bernardino, December 2nd, 2015.
What I said in there, if you heard what I said, I meant it. You know, for him to get as light a sentence as he got from the crimes that were committed based on what he provided to help that happen. It's a travesty.
In a highly unusual scene, Judge Jesus Bernal allowed Claiborne to address the court from his second row seat in the audience, telling him in part, quote, "Why isn't he charged with murder? I can't understand it. He's getting a slap on the wrist. It's not right. Your Honor, this is ridiculous. He should get life without parole. This just isn't right."
We have no evidence to suggest he was involved in the planning or execution of that attack.
And that's why prosecutors say Marquez cannot be charged with murder. Thus, the 25 years. That's the maximum that they can give him. Claiborne and numerous other family members of the victims privately met with prosecutors after the guilty pleas today. Nobody else wanted to say anything, and family members simply walked away quietly. Marquez, who was both handcuffed and shackled in court today, never looked in the direction where his family members were sitting in the front row. In court, it was revealed
attacks now believe a former neighbor of the killers was also a would-be terrorist. Enrique Marquez was a longtime friend of Syed Rizwan Farouk. He bought the rifles used in the massacre. Marquez is in a California jail this morning facing a terror-related charge.
Officials say that Marquez plotted with Farouk to attack a freeway and a community college. Carter Evans is outside the Inland Regional Center where Farouk and his wife killed 14 people. Carter, good morning.
Good morning. President Obama will meet with the families of the victims of the San Bernardino massacre tonight. Now, Marquez is not accused of participating in that attack, but prosecutors say he did hatch plans for other mass shootings with his longtime friend and neighbor. After 10 days of questioning by the FBI, Enrique Marquez arrived at a federal courthouse, appearing to face charges that he plotted terror attacks with Syed Rizwan Farouk and unlawfully purchased the rifles Farouk and his wife used in the San Bernardino massacre. Federal agents say Marquez admitted to planning an attack with Farouk at Riverside Community College in 2011. According to the criminal complaint, the plot targeted the school's cafeteria and library because they wanted to maximize casualties. They also planned a rush-hour attack on busy State Route 91 in Riverside. Farouk would throw pipe bombs on the freeway to disable and stop traffic, then move among the stopped cars, shooting his rifle into them. Marquez would watch for approaching emergency responders, making it his priority to shoot law enforcement officers. Investigators say Farouk introduced Marquez to Islam and exposed him to radical ideology around 2007. Marquez started watching videos produced by the terrorist organization Al-Shabaab and reading Al-Qaeda's Inspire magazine. Marquez says he began distancing himself from Farouk after 2012, but his recent social media post expressed troubling signs. Less than 1 month before the shooting, he wrote on Facebook, "No one really knows me. I lead multiple lives, and I'm wondering when it's all going to collapse." Involved in terrorist plots, drugs, antisocial behavior. Investigators are also studying a 911 call Marquez made hours after the deadly rampage in San Bernardino, telling the dispatcher, "My neighbor, he did the San Bernardino shooting. The expletive, used my gun in the shooting." When asked the name of the individual who had his gun, Marquez responded, "It's Syed Farouk." The FBI...
The husband and wife who killed 14 people at a holiday party began clearing out the couple's home. Syed Farouk's mother removed valuables from his townhome in Redlands, California. Last night, President Obama stopped in San Bernardino en route to his holiday vacation in Hawaii to meet with the families of victims. Carter Evans reports.
During his brief visit to San Bernardino Friday night, President Obama and the First Lady met with each of the families of the 14 people killed in the December 2nd massacre.
Despite the pain and the heartache that they're feeling, they could not have been more inspiring.
Among those, Mandy Pfeiffer, whose boyfriend Shannon Johnson died while protecting others.
I mean, it was a very intimate meeting. It wasn't just, sorry for your loss, we're out of here. They were there for over 2 hours.
More than 2 weeks after the attack, Southern California remains on edge. There was panic at an Orange County mall last night when, during a fight between two teenagers, someone heard a loud noise and mistakenly thought it was a gunshot. Extra officers are visible at Los Angeles International Airport, and security is very much on the minds of travelers like Ari Slauson.
You think about what's going to happen next and where's it going to be, and there's so many people at airports right now, you never know, and it's pretty scary.
On Friday, hundreds of LA law enforcement officers practiced responding to a Paris-style terror strike that targets several locations. LAPD Chief Charlie Beck.
All of us are constantly in fear and preparation for the day when we have to protect this city against multiple attacks.
Still, after meeting with the victims and first responders in San Bernardino, the president made a plea for some perspective.
Even as we are vigilant about preventing terrorist attacks from happening, what happened in San Bernardino, but here's what we know. The victims were brutally murdered and injured by one of their co-workers and his wife. So far, we have no evidence that the killers were directed by a terrorist organization overseas or that they were part of a broader conspiracy here at home. But it is clear that the two of them had gone down the dark path of radicalization, embracing a perverted interpretation of Islam that calls for war against America and the West. They had stockpiled assault weapons, ammunition, and pipe bombs. So this was an act of terrorism designed to kill innocent people. Over the last few years, however, the terrorist threat has evolved into a new phase. As we've become better at preventing complex, multifaceted attacks like 9/11, terrorists turn to less complicated acts of violence like the mass shootings that are all too common in our society. As a father to two young daughters who are the most precious part of my life, I know that we see ourselves with friends and co-workers at a holiday party like the one in San Bernardino. I know we see our kids in the faces of the young people killed in Paris. And I know that after so much war, many Americans are asking whether we are confronted by a cancer that has no immediate cure. Well, here's what I want you to know. The threat from terrorism is real, but we will overcome it. We will destroy ISIL and any other organization that tries to harm us. Our success won't depend on tough talk or abandoning our values or giving in to fear.
Hey, look, it's your boy Rook. Like I was saying, man, my condolences, man. I want to give a shout out to Obama. I want to give a shout out to everybody that helped with this, man. Like, we definitely needed help in our city, and they came through in a big way. It's just crazy, man. Again, rest in peace, man. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you could. If you knew about it, if you didn't know about it, let me know, man. At the end of the day, we gonna get better. We gonna climb to the top, San Bernardino. Eyes and ease forever. From ground zero to everybody hero. Look out, it's Ruck.